This is George Drivas, and I'm here to talk about neither out of sight nor out of mind what the realities of the pandemic have taught us. This is a unique situation, and this is what we would like to consider after this unimaginable reality that we're all facing. First of all, I would like to consider the fact that we're dealing with a number of people. As teachers, we're dealing with people who are at home, people who are students, people who are caretakers, and people who get all sorts of information which they ignore, or people who consider different kinds of information and they construct a theory, usually a conspiracy theory around it. For example, the pandemic never happened, it's all a hoax. Another possibility is to consider the fact that there are different types of information that circulate around the internet, and this is our basic input. And we would like to consider the fact that this information is not always reliable or something that we would like to base our actions on. Of course, such a global event has received extensive media coverage, which means that it's very difficult to avoid, it's very difficult to forget, it's very difficult to live without. Remember how we were looking forward to the daily information that we received from government officials over these days. And of course, there are differences in risk beliefs, in the sense that there are people who think we're not going to get out of this with good health, or the fact that there are possibilities that might affect all of us. The new reality that we're all facing is that the unimaginable is possible. I'm certain that none of us actually thought that such a possibility was possible even 2 months ago or 3 months ago. And this is something that we all lived through and something that we all experienced in very different circumstances during the lockdown. We couldn't imagine it, however, it's a reality. And of course, if our imagination was misleading us, it is our imagination, scientific, civic, or moral, that will help us move forward after this event has reached a different stage. And then, of course, it's after our imagination that will help us and will remind us how far we have to go as a species in the future. Our future is dependent on that. There are two areas I would like us to consider in what we are dealing with today: opportunities and challenges. A challenge is, of course, a possibility that gets us to move forward, something that we have perhaps never experienced before, and something that we would like to consider in the sense that it will be a new course of action that we need to take, something that we have never been prepared for. A challenge can be a protest, can be an objection, can be a test. It can also be a threat. Any which way you look at it, it's something that we need to overcome. It's something that we need to consider in many different perspectives. Under challenges, I would like to consider these 8 areas, and I will take each one individually. I will discuss each one individually. I will not spend any more time on that rather than go on to the first one. It doesn't matter how much you've used a computer or you've used a device, an electronic device, or how often you connect on the internet. The new reality means that you have to consider the fact that you need to consider why you're doing it, why we as teachers especially are doing it. We need to be adaptable. We need to understand that this new reality means that teaching needs to be different, and that teaching needs to be approached from a different perspective, total different perspective. Again, something we have never experienced before. Of course, we need to embrace change. Nothing remains the same. Things are moving forward much more rapidly than we used to in uncharted waters, and we need to consider the fact that this is making us, needs to make us open to change. Of course, we need to share. Experience is not something that only the gurus or the specialists now, from this point forward, need to have. And we all need to share what we learn to help others and help ourselves verify what it is that we're doing. We're thinking of a situation which needs to be a win-win for everybody involved, ourselves as educators, our students, and their caretakers. Obviously, we need to think ahead. We need to consider the fact that it's a situation where we need to move forward, and we need to actually take care of the future. Also, we need to care. We need to show empathy, we need to show understanding, and we need to appreciate our students' feelings. We need to be adaptable, we said, which means that we need to get out of our comfort zones, and we need to stop being complacent. Things are not going to go back to what they used to be just because we wish them to. We need to take ownership of results. Whatever we do has an impact, and these results are our own, and these results will affect others. So we need to understand what it is that we're doing. We need to show willingness to collaborate, as we said, in the sense that nothing we're doing is for ourselves, or we're not doing it alone. We need to get experience from others, and we need to share our experience with others. We said we need to demonstrate care for others, because this is the most obvious thing that comes across through a computer screen or over the internet. We need to be open to change our minds in more than one ways, and very often, to be quite frank, in the sense that we are all experimenting. Some people may not like this word, but I feel that this is exactly what it is that we're doing. We need to be flexible in our methods, in the sense that we need to see what the results are, and then again adapt to what helps and what doesn't help as much, and we need to consider. Lastly, we need to focus on our mission. It is still to teach, it is still to educate, it is still to help our learners in the community move forward. There is a new set of social rules and etiquette that we need to consider when we are working through the internet or when we are involved in distance learning. First of all, we need to be ourselves. Yes, I'm very nervous right now talking to you over the screen. However, you need to be original and genuine. We need to say thank you for those who have decided to log on and attend our classes and what it is that we have to offer. We need to give genuine compliments so that we understand what it's all about. And we need to consider the fact that people are expecting that. They are not just passive viewers. We need to avoid to be boastful, arrogant, or loud, in the sense that sometimes we don't need to shout. We don't need to be self-centered in the sense that we've managed it and the others cannot. We need to make certain that all understand that their efforts are being appreciated. Of course, we need to listen before speaking so that people have their voices heard and appreciate that they have their voices heard. We need to speak with kindness and caution, because sometimes we run the risk of not fulfilling our purpose in what it is that we're doing. Yes, number 7, we need to avoid criticizing or complaining. times are difficult for everybody, times are difficult for all, and we need to take that into account. I mean, the more we express our criticism and complaint, the more difficult we make it for everybody. And then again, we need to make certain that we are punctual. If you're late on the screen, it's not as being late in class. People can hear you coming to the class down the corridor, but on the screen, they don't know where you are, what's happened to you. That aggravates them and makes them feel more insecure. Of course, we need to anticipate. We need to be proactive. I mean, Greece is an example of what happened because people took proactive action. We need to be assertive and make things happen rather than wait for things to go away, and rather than expect things to get better just because we are who we are. Another challenge is that we need to continue making the educational and learning experience of our students as positive, effective, interactive, and enjoyable as possible, the way we used to. But also, we need to consider that our actions now, more than ever, in distance learning, should be used to enrich it, not to substitute it, because learning is still in the hands of our students, not in the hands of the teachers. We need to be practical, and we need to focus on achievability, SMART criteria. We need to be specific. We need to offer our students with measurable efforts and results. We need to make what they're supposed to be engaged in attainable so that everybody gets the satisfaction of participating in our classes. We need to make it relevant for what it is that they're doing and the now and the present. And of course, they need to we need to make it time bound in the sense that it offers a specific end to their efforts. Working from home, for instance, does not end, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It does not end, it does not begin at 9, it does not end at 5. It goes on almost 24 hours a day. We need to be prepared, much more so than ever. I mean, getting the book and going into class doesn't work anymore. We need to be abreast with new developments. We need to find what it is that we're doing. We need to appreciate what it is that we're considering. We need to plan in a much more detailed way, not exhaustively, but we need to consider what it is that we're doing. We said we need to be punctual, but also we need to be creative. After all, our students are here to get pleasure in addition to learning. And we need to be consistent, the way we used to be before this situation came upon us. Then again, we need to consider the fact that we are exposed in the sense that our teaching methods are viewed and criticized by others, not just our students. The content is also viewed and criticized by others than just our students. We're open to the world. The environment, the ecosystem of learners has changed. It is not just you, we, and them. It is a number of people who get involved and they have opinions which they express, positive or negative. And we also need to be able to still maintain the management over what it is that is happening. The fact that we are still in control and the students are the focus of our attention. Another possibility I would like us to consider, another aspect of the new pandemic, is the fact that there are possibilities, but also opportunities. Opportunities, but also possibilities. Of the three definitions that appear on the screen, I would like to focus on the second one, which says an opportunity is a situation or condition favorable for the attainment of a goal. And this is what we are aiming at. It is not something new. It is something that comes from where we were and where we want to reach, where we're going. It is also a good position to change for advancement and success. Some synonyms for opportunity are action, choice, excuse, hazard, hope, and prospect. All these things can actually show how many different possibilities and how many different dangers exist in what it is that we're doing now, either on the surface or further deep down. Under opportunities, I would like us to consider the following points. And without any further ado, I will go into analyzing each one in detail. First of all, there's a wealth of materials on the internet that we could use or we would like to avoid using for different reasons. These materials actually enhance, foster learning independence. And this is something that we would definitely like to consider and help our learners make a wise choice. In addition, the fact that there's such a wealth of materials around means that learners can choose those points that definitely get them to personalize what it is that they would like to indulge in, what they would like to work with, what they would like to focus on. This also means that there is flexibility. Not all our learners need to focus on the same material at the same time. Not all our learners need to work at the same speed and with the same kind of intensity. We also need to consider the range of choices that exist. Some are more appropriate for different ages, some are more appropriate for different communities. We need to consider the quality characteristics. For instance, a poor video is not really helping anybody get engaged. Or some videos that are more than, or texts that are entertaining but do not offer or provide an educational value is something to, again, consider quite seriously. And the possibilities of synchronous and asynchronous learning, more on that in a minute. Of course, learning independence is something to consider very seriously, because although they spend some time with us, they don't spend all the time with us or as much time as they used to. We need to consider performance, how we're going to view it, how we're going to assess it, how we're going to provide counseling so that they move ahead. We need to consider motivation. In our experience, some of our students didn't want to get out of bed because it was far too early in the morning. We need to boost confidence because, again, remember that in distance learning, students have the possibility to see themselves on the screen. And I don't know how much confidence they get out of that. Also, self-awareness. Sometimes they can hear themselves, sometimes they can see themselves. Most of the time they can do both. And also some other students can really clearly see them and hear them now. They need to be able to manage their own learning, much more so than before. Manage deadlines, manage assignments, manage where they are and where they want to go. And of course, we need to consider differentiation. Not all students are the same, so they need to have a different possibility or be exposed to different possibilities. Personalization is also something that you need to consider in the sense that ownership is paramount. Of course, there needs to be focus. They need to be masters of their own trade, and the famous WWW. Now, with distance learning and, of course, using technology, they can do whatever, wherever, and whenever. And this is something that we need to incorporate in what it is that we are doing. Flexibility is also something that we need to consider. For example, our plans can change and can change very quickly, sometimes with notice or without notice, and this means that we need to be on our toes. There's a range of choices, and these choices impact others seriously. They need to be replicable. They need to foster opportunity for development and progression. They need to include everybody, not just ourselves or be a presentation of ourselves. They need to be executable in the sense that we need to see what it is that's happening and move ahead with that. They need to be systematic, of course. We cannot do one thing one day and another thing at another day. They need to be accountable because the results need to be traced back to us or to other people. And then they need to be pragmatic. Our choices, their choices, need to be realistic so that they can move forward. We need to consider, of course, comfort and privacy. If you witnessed or watched any shows on television that were done through distance possibilities, the question was, are they wearing pants? So we need to establish effective communication. We need to maintain functionality, that is, we are teaching, and this is what we should be doing. And people need to realize that, our students need to realize that, their caretakers need to realize that. And of course, we need to provide them with a sense of safety and security, in the sense that they're not on their own, they are with us, they are with us, and they are safe in this environment that sometimes creates all sorts of different possibilities. There are quality characteristics that we need to consider. I will focus on three things that I find are paramount. For example, the fact that we need what we use and what we do needs to be accurate and precise. It needs to be legitimate, and it needs to have a certain validity. Also, it needs to be complete and comprehensive so that people understand, everybody involved understands what it is that we're doing. Also, the fact that it's synchronous learning we're talking about, something like live, what it is that we're doing now, and we're doing in real time, and also asynchronous learning, what it is that we're asking our students to do when they are not with us online. A hybrid model is what most people actually use and what most people have at their fingertips and what they should look at. I would like to finish considering the following, something that an Indian actress actually said. I love to experiment and take every opportunity as a challenge. This is what's happening in the world today. At the end of the pandemic, I would like to think at the end of the pandemic. Thank you very much.